World War III, market collapse, digital currency acceleration. What if the devastating missile strikes we just witnessed across the Persian Gulf this past February weren't an organic act of retaliation, but a meticulously choreographed demolition of the global economy, signed off by the very central bankers who currently hold your mortgage? In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to expose the classified architecture behind the March 2026 Iran-UAE conflict, a staged geopolitical theater designed entirely to distract you while the global elite force humanity into an inescapable digital financial prison. If you own property, hold a bank account, or care even slightly about your family's autonomy as the global markets fracture, your survival depends on what I reveal. Pay incredibly close attention to this internal banking memorandum on your screen. By the time we reach the end of this broadcast, I will break down exactly why the international banking cartel desperately needed this specific war and what they plan to steal from you next. If you consume mainstream media right now, the narrative is suffocatingly uniform. The talking heads insist that the current chaos is simple fallout. They tell you that Tehran's recent February 28th missile barrages are just the desperate thrashings of a rogue state. We are being spoon-fed the lie. They say skyrocketing gas prices and collapsing shipping lanes are tragic, unforeseen accidents. But that officially sanctioned narrative is a weaponized hallucination. It is a fairy tale manufactured by intelligence agencies. The apex predators of global finance do not rely on accidents. They engineer outcomes. The true battleground isn't in the sands of the Middle East. It is in the digital ledgers of the world's central banks. Forget the drone strikes, forget the sectarian divisions. The actual designation for the events unfolding right now is the Sovereign Wealth Liquidation Protocol. They are not trying to stabilize the region. They are actively burning the old economy to the ground to clear space for the new one. Consider the timeline the media conveniently ignores. Long before the recent missiles launched, the Iranian central bank quietly initiated a massive crackdown on decentralized cryptocurrency in early 2025. They forced all transactions through state APIs. Why? Because you cannot roll out an authoritarian central bank digital currency if your citizens have access to independent money. The violent protests of 2025 were a brutal beta test. The globalist elite watched how effectively they could suppress a population whose currency had collapsed. The elite took notes, and now they are bringing that exact same manufactured collapse to the West. But what we are seeing is merely the overt phase. What I am about to show you connects the burning oil tankers of today directly to the mysterious, unexplained Iberian Peninsula blackout of 2025. Hit the like button if you intuitively know the 24-hour news cycle is a psychological operation. Let the algorithm register your dissent. Let us dissect the true mechanism of control. The entity pulling the strings is not confined to any nation-state. Politicians are merely public relations for the syndicate, an interlocking directorate of legacy wealth, mega asset managers, and technocratic architects. Their goal is total dominance through asset destruction. First, examine the grand deception of BRICS. The media claims the alliance is tearing itself apart. It is the exact opposite. The conflict justifies a new system. The syndicate needs a functioning digital cage ready to catch the global population when the legacy fiat system finally implodes. Second, look at the geographical chokehold. Right now, in March 2026, the Strait of Hormuz is functionally paralyzed. A quarter of the world's oil is trapped. This is not a byproduct of war. This is the intended outcome. By choking off the energy supply, the syndicate is engineering a catastrophic spike in global inflation that makes the price hikes of the early 2020s look like a minor inconvenience. This engineered hyperinflation is designed to entirely wipe out the purchasing power of the middle class, bankrupt independent businesses, and force massive reliance on government subsidies. If you believe this level of coordination is impossible, you are failing to recognize their most frequently used playbook. They did it with the engineered supply chain freezes and lockdowns of 2020. They did it with the orchestrated Iberian Peninsula grid failures of 2025 to test public compliance during a blackout. And now, they are doing it with the manufactured blockade of the Strait of Hormuz in March 2026. The thread tying them all together is a relentless, calculated strategy to manufacture artificial scarcity, crush independent wealth, and physically force the population into a state of panic, where they will beg for a centralized, programmable digital bailout. The why is chillingly simple. They do not care about who rules the Middle East. They care about implementing a system where your ability to transact is entirely conditional on your obedience. The syndicate requires a global economic crash of unprecedented magnitude to justify the emergency rollout of retail central bank digital currencies across the Western world. This brings the geopolitical nightmare directly to your front door. The March 2026 Iran endgame is a guided missile aimed precisely at your financial independence, your personal privacy, and your fundamental human rights. As the conflict stretches on and energy markets completely destabilize, the cost of raw materials, food, and basic utilities will become insurmountable for the average citizen. The legacy banking system, suffocating under the weight of hyperinflation and unpayable debt, will face a controlled, systemic freeze. You will go to the ATM and it will be offline. You will attempt to wire funds and the transaction will be indefinitely pending. The media will blame foreign hackers, geopolitical instability, and supply chain fragility. Out of this manufactured darkness, the syndicate will emerge offering their predetermined solution. Politicians will step up to podiums worldwide and announce the paper fiat system is being retired. You will be mandated to download a centralized digital wallet linked to your biometric identity to receive your universal basic income or emergency relief funds. But this new CBDC, whether they call it the digital euro, the digital dollar, or the crypto real, will not function like the money you grew up with. It will be a programmable control grid. It will feature expiration dates, carbon tracking, and geographical fencing. We are hurtling toward a high-tech, neo-feudal surveillance state where the concept of private ownership is eradicated. The elite will own the infrastructure, while you are reduced to a digital serf. The missiles flying over the Gulf today are simply the theatrical distraction required to install the iron bars of tomorrow's financial prison. Let us return to that leaked internal memorandum from the beginning of our broadcast. Look at the date, January 2024. Long before the media started panicking, the architects had already drafted the projected commodity shock. The document outlines that a disruption was the prerequisite to overcome resistance to digital currency. They calculated that the only way to force adoption was to terrify the global populace with war and starve them with inflation. The events of March 2026 are the execution of a business plan. The Middle Eastern escalation is the fiery catalyst for a global financial reset designed to burn the old economy to the ground. You must refuse to participate. Go into the comments right now and expose one piece of the narrative. Share your red-pilled insights, subscribe, hit the bell, and share this everywhere. Refuse to give them compliance. Stay vigilant.